Hello and welcome back to another episode of the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Podcast. My name is Andrew Laird, Senior Soccer Editor of RotoWire. Joining this Tuesday, October 27th by Matt Birnbach to talk about Wednesday's Champions League slate. Matt is filling in for Luis today perfectly. For those of you who are not watching on YouTube, Matt has I believe a 2018 Atletico Madrid jersey. Matt, well done.
Look, when you're filling in for a legend like Luis, the least I could do is, rep an Atletico Madrid jersey or kit, if you will, with my Everton backwards hat on. So I feel like those two go very seamlessly, and I will do my best not to embarrass him.
Yeah, not at all. So we're here to talk about Wednesday's Champions League slate. We are 23 hours, 9 minutes, and 50 seconds from lock, and the prices have been out for about 3.5 minutes. So we've been talking about the games at least, so we have that. I'll admit that the pricing was not as favorable as I was hoping, at least upon opening it right away. The matchups are also a little strange because Lazio have 12 senior players that are traveling. Actually, I believe there was a 13th added. But pretty much everybody we wanted to play from Lazio in their match away to Club Brugge are staying in Italy because they have all either tested positive for COVID. I think they've actually all tested positive, not even a close contact. This is just a full-blown outbreak. But apparently there are enough guys who did not test positive, and then we're just going to send them to Belgium and hope for the best. So there's that. We've got Dortmund at home against Zenit. They're the biggest favorite on the slate, highest implied goal total. That's unsurprising. And of course, the Dortmund guys are very expensive. Then we have Sevilla at home against Rennes, Bruges and Lazio. It's just so weird to see Bruges as a favorite against Lazio. Yeah. But Man United, a slight favorite at home against RB Leipzig. Dynamo Kiev away to how do we even say this team? Ferencvaros. We're not going to take any of those guys anyway. We might against Kiev.
There might be one or two.
There might be one or two. You're right. And then Barcelona, slight away favorites against Juventus in the huge Messi. Oh wait, Ronaldo still positive for COVID, so we're gonna have to wait for the return leg. At least that one will be back in Spain. That's got to be a bigger deal, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's confirmed out though, Ronaldo. Is he definitely out?
He's definitely out.
Got it. Yeah, it'll be a bigger deal in Spain.
Right. So it's kind of a mess, this slate. It's not really any fun teams, and the ones that might be fun are kind of playing each other. And you can't really get all the Dortmund that you want. I'm not even sure how much Dortmund we ever really want. Before we dive into that, Matt, how would you describe the types of lineups you play in DFS?
If they're not first or last.
Okay, perfect. So let's try to be first for Wednesday. I only say that because guys like Haaland tend not to be in cash lineups. At 10-2 on this slate, he's the third most expensive forward. I believe he's the fourth most expensive player overall. That includes Ronaldo, though, so we'll toss him out. But as the biggest favorite, are you somebody who's more likely to pay 10-2 for Haaland or 93 for Jadon Sancho?
I would play the 10-2 for Haaland. Sancho's certainly a better floor and better peripherals, but Haaland's got a better chance of breaking the slate.
Yeah. I guess we really should start with Messi. I mean, he's the most expensive player, but playing away to Juve, he hasn't really been that great this year. This doesn't seem like the ideal breakout game. But if you could get 15% Messi, is that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The notes on the Barca game, I literally wrote this: Messi, sure, Fati, okay. That's literally all I wrote. If Griezmann starts and nothing to do with the jersey I'm wearing, I could see getting him involved just because there's certainly talent there, and I think he's still pretty good. I think he's just in this terrible funk. But yeah, if you got Messi at it's very rare to see Messi and Ronaldo like sub 40%.
Right.
If you were to get them sub 20%, like that feels like a win, right? And he's supposed to show up for these big games, and he's in a funk, but it looks like the entire front office or whatever you call it in soccer is about to step down. So he hates all those guys. So maybe that's good too. If you play that narrative, the front office narrative, I do. I mean, Messi's the GOAT for a reason, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you play and you're building around him, it's not like you're going to be able to play Messi, Haaland, and any other guys that you want. Right. So it gets a little sloppy if you play him. But like on today's slate, Kevin De Bruyne is like 36% in cash. Yeah. And I just don't think we're going to see Messi that popular tomorrow, mostly because I think people are going to gravitate to Dortmund. We talked like a bunch on this podcast, and I write it all the time that like Dortmund generally are terrible floor plays, but they're gigantic favorites. Like Haaland's the kind of player who is going to score a hat trick on 4 shots. So you don't, it's not like you need him to score, but he's also the lead, what is he? Minus 200 to score once for the team that is supposed to score more than everyone else. So it's just weird on a slate for cash games that like Haaland should be much higher on than Messi. Yeah.
It certainly would appear that way.
Yeah. What do you do with like everyone else? Like the Lazio situation is so strange. Like, do you think, what are they now? They were plus 375 before, just as like the news was coming out that nobody was going to play. But like,
I mean, it's funny, when I started taking notes last night, they were 138, plus 138. And I was like, man, I love them on the road.
Yeah.
They're them being, minor favorites is fun. Like, this is a team that should be able to score some goals. And now they're, couldn't be, they're one of the bigger dogs on the set now. It's weird. Depending on who actually makes the trip, I know there's been some rumors that like Immobile and Luis Alberto, like they're out.
Yeah.
There's obviously so much value. Lazio has a ton of talent, and I'm sure they have a couple guys that people haven't even heard of who are going to play tomorrow that are probably better than some of the Club Brugge players. I would hope.
You would have to think so, right? I mean, like, that's sort of the way I was looking at it. I don't want to like skip too far, but like Luis Alberto is 7,900.
Yeah.
You're not going to play him because he's not going to be there, but like that price like jumped out at me. Is like I would be all over him in cash games. But you have to like keep scrolling down. The only guy I think who's in the expected 11, and of course like expected lineups are such a joke these days because there are games like every other day. But Joaquin Carrera is 5,900, and he's taken more set pieces than anybody else who's expected to play. He's taken 1. So you either have to convince yourself that's not a lot, or you just look at the fact that he's taken 100% of them and think Lazio set piece monopoly at 5,900 for a forward. That seems pretty nice if you can have 15,900 for your 2 forwards, and one of them is Haaland.
Yeah. And also like, Pepe Reina, I assume, is probably going to start at goalie. They only have another one, Marco Alia, who I've never heard of before. At 3,900, if you, goalies don't matter, right? You're just playing to fit anyway. But this team was a favorite like an hour ago. It feels like that's a decent enough play. But again, I'm definitely a subscriber to whoever fits, just play him.
Yeah. Pepe Reina is in that age group, though, that's very susceptible to COVID, though. It might be a problem.
They might not even play with a goalie tomorrow.
At least nobody who's not actually classified as one.
Right.
So we have a game today. I don't even know. Let's see. I think it was actually 2-0. Yeah, Ajax beating Atalanta, but 2 teams that like to score, which seems weird that I'm about to say this about Manchester United. But we have United against Leipzig, which is kind of a close match. I believe it has the second highest total on the slate. It's not overly high. But what do you think about that game? Because, we played plenty of guys from those teams before, and we got plenty of fantasy value out of the PSG Man United game last week. We've got like Nkunku at 6,900 if he plays. He'll be on set pieces. We got Rashford 81. I'm like still scrolling. I must have missed Martial already. But like, where do you look at that game?
I don't know, because like
Martial's
normally
5,900.
Normally I wouldn't care much for United, but Leipzig kind of likes to play wide open, and I think United has the players to play wide open.
Yeah.
So I think that's big. I like Rashford. My dog likes Rashford, so that's cool. Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. I mean, I'm cool with most of the United guys just based on who they're playing. In general, I don't love them. If Greenwood gets in there, I like him. Marshall is what?
Martial's 5,900.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun players there that normally I wouldn't consider playing, but just based on them being home and against Leipzig, or I guess Leipzig's at home, right?
No, it's at United.
I don't even know why it matters who home is, because home isn't like a thing anymore.
Right.
But yeah, it's based on who they're playing. I like a lot of these guys, specifically Rashford and Bruno on the United side.
I saw something somebody sent it to me on Twitter that one of the stat sites did a comparison of Bruno's stats when Scott McTominay and Fred start behind him, which basically everything is like doubled. Like, he is phenomenal when those two are on the field, which is one of the weirder things I've ever seen. Granted, it was a 4-game sample versus 15 otherwise, but I don't even know what to make of that. But it has now thrown me, because I'm like, oh, well, if Fred and McTominay are in, maybe I love Bruno tomorrow, but I can't really think
that's
that,
incredible. Right? If they do play tomorrow, now he needs to be in all of your line. I guess
all of them.
You've just set the table.
I wouldn't ever say this out loud to anybody who's actually paying attention, but if he starts, I think you could play Juan Mata at 4,900. It's a continuation of my coming around on him now that I'm right, as opposed to when I was right previously, but it said not to play him. But I think that game overall is kind of underpriced, just based on the fact that there are goals to be had. Like, the game itself should be close, but it's because both teams are good and we can get some fantasy value out of them that it's almost convenient, because the Barcelona Juventus guys are so expensive, and I think that's a game I was just going to avoid anyway. So it's just a matter of do you want to try to get guys like Nkunku, or because he's got some set pieces? That Martial price is really silly though. Like, Martial at 59 and Rashford at 81.
It's like he was forgotten is probably what happened. Like, whatever the base was, and he was just missed.
I mean, Greenwood 6,000. I guess Rashford scored in the first match, like last week.
Yep.
And Martial did not. So that obviously means they're very different. But I won't.
And if you insist, like, Pogba is pretty cheap. Not thrilled with that, but I guess I'd prefer Mata over Pogba.
There you go. That's like 2 out of 3 podcasts. There's Mata over Pogba.
If you want to get weird on the other side, like Justin Kluivert at 3,900 is a fun little punt. Like, he's good enough to do something. I don't love playing. I think it's just in my head, but the way United has played. But I don't love playing that many offenses against United in general. But like 3,900 with Kluivert's talent, like, I think there's something there. I don't know. Angelino, I feel like people might be chasing goals. I don't know. He's obviously awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the 5,900 is not bad for the former New York City FC fullback. Obviously, need to drop that in there. That's actually, see, like, I think that game is pretty underpriced. I mean, he is one of the more expensive defenders.
Right.
My gosh, Alex Telles is there too. This is a weird slate, man. This is what happens when we have 4 seconds to do to look at pricing. But any reason to think of the Sevilla guys? Like, they're the second biggest favorite, but it seems like their games are just awful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great way to put it. I mean, I guess what's his face, Marcus Akuna at was he left back?
Yeah,
I think he's he could even be chalky. I think just based on the favoritism and him getting up forward. And the other guy is Lucas Ocampos. is probably the only guy I would really play. Like I wouldn't at 6,500 seems pretty good. And he was plus, I think I saw plus 140 to score. Like that's pretty good. He's like their main guy. Like Luc de Jong does nothing for me if he's going to start. Like literally does nothing. He's like a very awful version of like Cavani. He will Cavani you, but like even worse. I feel like
maybe not the goal. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But that's it for me on Sevilla. I don't. That team does nothing for me, and yet they find ways to win games. They're very weird.
Yeah. I mean, set piece wise, like Rakitic, I guess took last game. Jordan is supposed to be back, but like, I just don't know how you get excited about any of these guys. Like we joke around of that, we tout guys occasionally like Tom Cleverley and Jack Wilshere, and like that feels like a whole team of them. Except the beloved cross donkey Jesus Navas, 5,500 as a defender.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because like I would never play Rakitic when he was surrounded with the best talent in the world, and he's obviously not as good as he was either. So certainly not playing him now.
I mean, they're reigning Europa champions, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I don't know. They're the like one of the best European teams. They always win European cups. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're built for cups.
Yeah, I wish I could convince myself that anyone was good from there, but I just don't. I don't see it. Apologies for me just like aimlessly scrolling. This Kiev match. Oh, Kiev's actually. Oh yeah, they're away.
Wait, did you skip over the Rennes players?
No, I haven't gotten there yet. But we can talk about. I guess I was about to skip over at least the forwards. Who are you shouting out from Rennes?
Who am I not shouting out?
Ooh.
Jeremy Doku is a stud. Nobody will have him, and he is awesome. He's supposed to be like the next big Belgian striker to be good. Hopefully, that's more Lukaku than Benteke. But I mean, he's. I think he only has like 5 goals in 30 career games, but like everybody loves him, and he's only 17, or 18. And then the other teenager they have is Kamavinga, who's like he is the next awesome guy. I think he's cheap again this week, right? 3,800. I think he had a decent outing last time out. He had 8 points, like with nothing to show for it. At that price, with his upside, he's a good punt. I'm cool with punting Kamavinga.
I think he might be questionable. That's the only.
He's got youth behind him though. Like that's when you're 17, you're always playing.
You're always possibly in. Doku, who at least UEFA.com has him in there expected, played 28 minutes against Krasnodar and had 7 points.
Yeah.
4 crosses, shot on goal, 2 shots assisted, chances created for normal people. That's fun, Matt. I kind of like that call. Though Sevilla just does such a great job of ruining games, though.
Right, that's the problem.
If we had, that Kamavinga would be a little more fun if he was in. So Zenit, or the Zenit match, really. Not Zenit, Kiev. Apologies for that. They have some guys, right? Like
that's a good way to just put it. For they have some guys.
But that could, I mean, theoretically, that's the game that nobody's going to look at. Like, we have Juve Barca that generally I think people should stay away from anyway, but like it's messy, so people are going to look. Sevilla and Rennes, we were just talking about some fun plays there. This Lazio game, you can get some really cheap guys. Dortmund should go roll all over Zenit, so you look at the Man United Leipzig. So this Kiev game, like, what are the odds that this one ends up being just bananas? 4-3. 0?
I don't.
2.
I mean, that seems very crazy. I think they're over. They're over 3.5 goals was plus 260, which I think may have been the worst. Oh no, Sevilla Rennes was 280.
Sevilla. It's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be crazy if this was the game that broke it, and someone stacks this game and just marches off into the sunset. I don't know. I mean, I guess it could, right? Like Kiev's got some players.
I've got.
I'm gonna butcher these names. I'm just gonna go by first names. We know Victor and Vladislav.
Vladislav, there's probably 7 of them.
And I'm sure Ferencváros is worse than a lot of the teams in their league.
You would think so.
I think. I think Shaparenko took their corners last week.
Yeah.
So he had 2 corners versus Juve. So if you multiply that out, what he should do versus Ferencváros should have like 12.
I like that math.
Just based on the fact Kiev probably didn't have much of the ball, and doing that multiplier of based on talent alone.
Yeah.
I'm confident calling 12 crosses for Shaparenko.
I like that math.
Yeah,
why not? I don't know if that's an algorithm we should give away or not. Jeez.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've tried to sell some of my brain space before. No takers yet, but people are interested.
You should throw in your scratch paper though.
People like the scratch paper. I don't know. It's old school.
Handwritten with
I always
pen.
thought I always did better work writing stuff down than typing it out. That's probably stupid and also suboptimal, but that's how I live my life.
I don't know. You live on the edge though with a pen. It's not a Sharpie, but still, I mean, once it's down, it's there. Driuzzi? Anyway. From Zenit was one I thought I was going to like, and then I saw 6,100, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. That's also the problem. Like, I think Vladislav Superiaga is like 6,300. Like, I like him. He scored, I think, 3 or 4 goals in league play so far, but like 6,300, that's really asking a lot.
Yeah.
Shaparenko, I think, is pretty cheap.
I could see people having him in cash games.
Even if you wanted to get weird and say you wanted to go, Messi, Holland, and stack that game, I don't even know if you can because of all the Kiev's players are a little bit too expensive.
Yeah, they are. That's exactly. Yeah, they're all just a little bit. Shaparenko, I bet, gets pretty popular in cash games.
Yeah, especially with the 12 crosses coming.
Right. Yeah, I mean you'd be stupid not to play him. Looking at the midfielders a bit. So we talked about Bruno, obviously, is an option there. Coutinho is out for Barca, but that's kind of a game we were going to ignore. Ruud Vormer. Theoretically, if you saw Ruud Vormer who takes set pieces for Bruges, and this was like a qualifier slate where Bruges were, I don't even know what they are at this point, minus 110, whatever.
Yeah.
You'd have to consider him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's where he is, but because he's playing Lazio B, do we just not play him?
I don't know. I mean, he crushed Zenit last week.
Mm-hmm.
He was awesome. Even if you take away that assist, he had 20 points with an assist. He was still great. I mean, he's priced up very high.
It's funny, like in a normal slate, like Luis Alberto at 7,900 and Vormer at 76 is ridiculous. And yet, now we don't get Alberto, and we have to consider Vormer.
Yeah, I mean, Vormer's one of the guys I had written down even before the COVID situation or whatever they're dealing with. Maybe it's not COVID, you don't know. But
just some other extremely.
This is probably the last goalie I'm going to mention, but if you have some American pride, Ethan Horvath is in goal for Bruges. If you're pro-America, maybe you'll play him.
Okay. I'm just going to leave that hanging.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'm ready to hear your crazy Lazio plays. That's what I'm ready for.
Right. No. I was going to say that I don't think he starts, and I'm going to continue the American bandwagon. And I don't know why he doesn't start, because the guy is amazing every time he's on the field. But Gio Reyna at 6,100 is outrageous. Sancho is obviously coming over and taking set pieces away when he's on, but Reyna, even off the bench, and maybe that's the problem, is that he's so good off the bench that they're willing to just keep him there for a bit. But looking at Reyna makes you scroll even further, and Rafael Guerrero at 5,500 for the biggest favorite, where they should have the ball a ton. Like, that seems like a pretty solid option.
Yep. I mean, you could plug in all of these, like Guerrero. If Jude Bellingham plays, like, first of all, I don't think the majority of people playing fantasy soccer right now have any idea who he is. Certainly the
Bellingham?
Majority of people who are just going to maybe just make a team, like, no one knows who he is. He's the 17-year-old and he's been awesome since he came over a couple months ago. He's another one of these guys. Like Guerrero is also cheap. I don't know, like any of these guys playing on the wing or up front, they're kind of like all plug and play at this point.
For Dortmund,
the way that offense runs and with the talent, and when if it's Reina, if it's even a guy like Hazard, all these guys love to pass too. It's just like kind of fun to have a couple of those guys, and just especially like if you want to fade Haaland, which if you're going to play Dortmund guys, maybe that's not the thing. But even when guys like Julian Brandt plays, like all of a sudden he becomes great.
Yeah.
If he's like the main offensive weapon, they all just like play to their roles and then figure it out later on. It's kind of crazy.
What are your honest thoughts about Marco Royce?
I feel like in the 25 minutes he's going to play, he'll be great, and then he'll get hurt.
He's like one of the saddest stories in soccer.
If you guaranteed me 65 minutes, I think he's a good play.
Yeah. Has he played 65 yet this year? I mean, he had to.
By the way, I wanted to mention one player on Lazio.
Oh, yeah.
We skipped over it. And this is, if he plays, it's going to be a real fun one. His name is Jean Daniel Akpro. He's I think he's like 2,500. If he plays, he should be 95% owned. He played last week off the bench for Dortmund. He scored at defense.
That's
assuming
fun.
He's not one of the guys with the vid, and he starts, like, he has to be played. He has to. There's no fading.
Wow, he is in the he traveled.
Yeah.
He actually started this past weekend in midfield, according to our player pages.
He's like a journeyman who just, I don't know. I hadn't heard of him before last week, and then started reading about him. He's like just some journeyman that all of a sudden is getting some looks. I mean, he scored 12 points last week. Obviously, one of them, it was based on a goal in 23 minutes, but even if you guaranteed him 20 minutes this time, you'd have to play him at 2,500 anyway, and he's probably going to play 75 minutes.
2,500 is for what could be a central midfielder.
Yeah, boot him up, hit optimize, and that's it. That's how it works, right?
That's right.
I read how that's how it works.
That's right. I mean, he is obviously going to have the most ownership on Haaland Messi lineups.
Yeah,
because you're going to
sure.
need it. So we have this Boragaud from Rennes, who takes all their set pieces, 6,400 against Sevilla.
I think it's Beauregard, right?
I don't know. I never took French. I make fun of people who take French in high school or in middle school now, because why would you ever need to learn French? But
I also don't know what letters are silent.
Yeah,
like that the D at the end could be silent. The R.
Yeah.
Benjamin Bourre. He is French too, so
yeah, very, very French. And Luis said his name last time, so I was able to get away with it. But
Luis makes everything sound right.
Yeah. He could be completely wrong, but like I hear it and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
That's how
you have
say
that
it.
confidence in how you're speaking. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And we don't. We do not have that confidence.
No. I guess I can't play him then.
No.
All right. I'll fade him for that reason. Danny Olmo at 6,000, I feel like is usually fun, but against United, I'm not sure where I'm really going with that. Rakitic, I'm not going to play. Gosh, Pogba.
I wish Dybala wasn't nearly 10K, which doesn't make sense. Not that playing him against Barca is the best move ever, but for a guy who's barely playing anyway, he's priced way. No one's going to play him. It's just absurd.
Yeah. Where are you on the Pjanic revenge game?
Didn't even think of it. So, but
how could you not?
Seeing his price, like if he starts, and obviously he's going to, I guess he's not going to take any of the free kicks with Messi around. Man, he's just had rough luck. He's like, many people think he's one of the best free kick takers in the world, and then Ronaldo comes over and he loses that, and now he goes to a team that has Messi, so there's zero chance that's happening.
Yep.
So I went from liking him to disliking him in a matter of seconds based on who he's playing with.
We'll pick him back up in Euros next summer.
Right.
Then we'll be okay. I don't think there's anyone cheaper that I had much interest in. I mean, Jordan from Sevilla is like a pure defensive midfielder who occasionally takes set pieces. that's I'm just not sure that's enough on a Champions League slate like this.
Right.
Even in matches that aren't nearly as one-sided as they were today. Plus, we don't have the earlier matches, which I think are also going to be pretty one-sided. Those are PSG and Chelsea. Any other? I'm just like scrolling down to the bottom. These guys.
I mean, who's down there? Frankie De Jong is down there.
Yeah, Weston McKennie. If we're gonna keep waving the U.S. flag.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It's kind of fun. You can kind of make a very American team. Dest will be playing in this slate.
That's right.
Who else?
Tyler Adams.
Tyler Adams. Yeah,
maybe.
It's almost. Yeah. If you combine the two slates, I think you almost get close to an 11 right now.
We don't need 11, Matt. We only need 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
True.
8.
You're right.
Excuse me. I don't know why I said
There
9.
you go.
And that includes Horvath. We have the goalie.
Also, by the way, if you want narrative, there's Arthur. The Arthur narrative is big one too. I feel,
big
for the
one.
record, I feel more strongly about the Arthur narrative than the Pjanic.
I think that's fair.
I think Arthur, like Pjanic, I think he's a little bit older. Like Arthur came over for all this fanfare. They gave him did they give him barely a year? Or did they give him more than a year? I don't remember. I think he only gave him a year, right? Not even.
He was very excited to be there too.
Right. Yeah. I feel like if he starts at 3,200, I think he's worth a punt.
There will be somebody who does it, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe pull together a team of punts and throw that in a GPP. That's fun.
I mean, dumber lineups have won, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I'm looking below. Yeah, you have McKennie, Ricky Puig.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if any of these guys were actually.
Oh, I got one for you. I got one for you that is. It's not facetious. It's legit. Pedri on Barcelona, striker 3,500. I think that's one you could consider playing. I
think they would need to have a COVID outbreak for him to play.
Well, he played last week. He didn't start, but he
Right.
played and scored.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's probably a better play than Griezmann, but I'm guessing that they play Griezmann instead.
Yeah, no. Pedri probably should not play, but you never know with what's going on with lineups and stuff.
Right, that's right.
Just keep an eye on Pedri. He did play 82 minutes versus Real Madrid this weekend.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that made my argument from pretty stupid to maybe.
Right. So there are actually a lot of defenders I'm interested in, which is weird because I've been crapping all over this slate. Maybe it's actually not that many, but it's definitely Angelino.
Into the slate completely at this point.
What's that?
It might be your favorite slate of all time.
We're getting there. We'll know after tomorrow. Results over process. Angelino, I like. I think you can still play him 5,900 even against Manchester United at Old Trafford. I think is fine. I would be perfectly content playing both left backs in that game. Like if Alex Telles starts, he seems to be. I mean, when do we ever not play Alex Telles at 5,600 in Champions League slate? I don't care who he's playing for, but he took some set pieces last week.
It could be CONCACAF champions. And I'm playing them.
After that, you mentioned Acuna before.
Yeah. If Felix Passlack plays, I like him. For Dortmund.
For Dortmund, yeah. I mean, I guess my guess is Guerrero and Munir start, and I think they're both. Right. Yeah, they're both midfielders, which I get. Whatever. But after that, I guess Dest is 4,000, which isn't terrible. I'm not sure you really need to play him in that matchup.
No.
But going down, it just feels like a bunch of names. I mean, you can see who starts out wide for Bruges if you really think that they take it to Lazio or Kiev. But otherwise, it feels like you're just paying up.
It's funny, yeah. I'm fine with playing anyone who's playing on outside in the Lazio game on either side. I feel like there should be value. Like I said, that Akpa Akpro, and I'm sure there's some value on the Bruges side too. I'm cool with anyone outside in that game.
I wonder if there actually is value on the Bruges side because
they did. Yeah,
one of them is Clinton Mata is 5,400, which
Sobel might be all right.
Oh man.
But then it's it just stinks not knowing. Man, Sobel's pretty good.
Diatta is a forward, of course, at 5,800. No wonder they waited to put prices out. They were trying to see the Lazio COVID situation, of course.
Of course. It's being talked about in all the forums in the country, and not only just soccer.
Of course. That's what we're worried about here. Yeah, that Lazio one, I'm not sure what to make of that group. They usually play 3 in the back too, don't they?
They normally play 3 in the back.
So we're going to have to worry about not taking one of their B squad center backs. Yep.
There's going to be a lot of Wikipedia reading tomorrow.
Ugh. Yeah, it'll be a guess who these guys are. But yeah, I think generally people are going to try to jam Dortmund. The Leipzig guys are pretty cheap if you don't believe in the Man United defense.
Yep.
Which with Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw back there, I don't know why you would. Yeah, in this midfield, I don't know. I don't know what the feeling on Bruno is going to be, particularly because like De Bruyne was so under-owned today.
Yeah.
In a game where they were huge favorites and like United are barely a favorite on Wednesday. I don't know. I'm not sure Bruno fits. Bruno definitely doesn't fit in a Dortmund stack.
Yeah.
Like it felt like everybody was trying to stack Liverpool today, home against Midtjylland, and then of course the big three don't start. Not that Firmino's cheap enough.
Sure.
But like, do we stack Dortmund?
I mean, that's the chalk stack, right? Dortmund, Akpa Akpro. Maybe get yourself Igor Karatin on Ferencváros, who takes their PKs. Pray for a PK.
They're at home.
Yeah, I mean, they're notorious for getting a lot of loving from referees at home.
Are there fans in Hungary? Like maybe?
I want to say yes. Yeah. I feel like there are.
Do they make there's no like, it's country specific, I assume. Like you can have fans in your.
Oh, I don't know. I wonder.
I don't know either. I'm not sure it matters. Does goalkeeper ever matter to you?
Nope.
Good.
Never. It's never mattered ever.
Particularly on Champions League slates, I'm amazed at when I see people pay up for goalkeeper.
I have no problem if you pay up, but like that should, if you have 5,900 left and you love your team, cool, put in whoever. Then I don't have a problem. If you start your lineup with Ederson or Alisson or whoever, then I hate your lineup.
I think, to be honest, if you have 5,900 left for a goalkeeper, then you did something else wrong.
Absolutely.
But I don't know.
By the way, speaking of Ferencváros, on Transfer Market, they have the team valued at $31 million. Their best player, according to market value, is pretty much their best player that we would have thought. Tomac Nguyen, their goal scorer, in case anyone needs there. He's got 5 goals for them this year. If you need some Ferencváros in your life, that's who you want.
I mean, I don't think... And it's funny, I was like, oh, who took set pieces from him last week? I'm like, of course they didn't win a single one. But I don't know. However the lineup shakes out, I'll have to see who the Ishal, I think he was the one I assumed would take set pieces. 4,300 for a home team, forward eligible, possible set pieces. That's not crazy.
Yeah, with that home cooking.
That's right. Man, we were all over the place. Anyone else you want to talk
about? No. I mean, I could go all day about Akpa Pro. I just don't want
to. $2,500 for a defender eligible player.
A defender eligible player who probably ends up playing midfield.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
And even if he plays center back, like worst case, he plays center back. And you're still not killing yourself at that price. And he's not going to play center back.
Right.
Based on the one article I've ever read on him.
Mm-hmm. One more than me, so you got that going for you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anybody wants to find Matt on Twitter, you can find him at Matt Birnbach. Very simple. You can find me at RotoWireAndrew. Slightly less simple. If you have any follow-up that you want to hit up in the subscriber Discord, you can do that. Just go to rotowire.com/chat to get in there. If you are watching this on YouTube, if you could please like the video if you have already watched it and enjoyed it. Or if you didn't, please like it anyway. You can subscribe there as well. And if you are listening to the regular audio podcast, please rate and review wherever you listen. Matt, thank you for that, and good luck tomorrow.
Later.